Welcome to today's broadcast. My name is Colleen Patterson, and I'm the Director of Employer Services and Compliance at Savoy. This is week 2 in our series of On the Road to Reopening. As employers continue to develop their reentry plans for their employees to return to the workplace, federal agencies such as the CDC have released recommendations and guidance for employers to consider prior to opening. First and foremost, though, employers should consider whether adherence with an agency's reopening guidelines is consistent with state and local stay-at-home orders. Be sure to adjust the plan in order to meet the unique needs and circumstances of your local community. Here's the steps to take. 1, develop your plan. 2, implement your plan. And 3, maintain and revise the plan. The goal for sure is to ensure all employees are protected. The details of each employer's plan to return will be different, but there are key issues most employers will need to understand and start preparing for now. Joining me today around the table is Meg McGinn, who is co-founder of True Vitality's wellness program at Whole Health Company, LLC. She comes to this corporate wellness company with 25 years in the insurance and healthcare industry, ranging from working for Fortune 50 companies such as Aetna and Novartis to participating on the ground level of a Silicon Valley medical device startup, and nationally launched the first non-fingertip glucose meter in the industry. Mary, I have a couple of questions for you today. So let's start with workplace safety. As we know, workplace safety is paramount to an employer's reentry planning. Plans will vary based on industry, geography, as well as state and federal laws. Generally speaking, what do employers need to know about on-site COVID-19 testing, and what is there an expectation of ongoing employee education and engagement?
Colleen, thank you for having me today. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here talking to you about workplace reentry after what our country has experienced over the last several weeks. So talking about this is somewhat of an unknown, as you had already mentioned previously. Employers need guidance, and what we're hearing so far with the discussion around workforce reentry are 2 main questions. They want to know how can they get their employees back to work safely and continue to keep them safe at work. And they also want to know how to create peace of mind for their employees while they're at work. So on-site testing is going to be critical in answering these 2 questions, because if you rely on the self-monitoring and the independent testing that the employee would have to do outside of the workplace, there is a great unknown. So providing an on-site testing ability and opportunity at the point of entry for employers, it gives them the confidence to know that every person entering the building has been tested and cleared before starting to work, which also allows and provides that peace of mind that they need to give to their employees while they are at work. So we're finding that they are gravitating more to controlling the reentry by sending a message to their employees. We have a plan. It's going to be at our office, and we are going to oversee this and take care of you through this new and unprecedented experience. And so that on-site testing engulfs so many different aspects of protection for the employer. And we're finding that that really is the first step to getting their employees back to work.
Thanks, Meg. So it sounds like communication is going to be critical to the employees, one, for helping them understand testing, but certainly with their reentry success planning. So another thing that we've been thinking about is carriers are covering testing and services associated with COVID-19. How are reentry programs generally priced? Is it by facility or a site charge, PEPM, hourly, and things like that? Or how is the work with an employer's, how is this going to work with an employer's health plan?
You're absolutely right, Colleen. And before I dive into that, I want to mention that, when we talk about the process of reentry, testing is going to be the first step of conversation. But the way in which we are going to help and fully support our clients is to make sure that we um, expand the conversation around not just that point of entry, but also that ongoing education and support for emotional concerns that employees might have within the first few weeks getting back to work. So, when we look at with all of that, and then we find out what the states are providing and the cost of everything, we're really we're beginning to see that the states are going to establish their own protocols of what they deem important. Some states might feel on-site testing is sufficient, while other states are going to strongly recommend that ongoing educational and emotional support is implemented in the programs. If you asked me the question last week regarding the cost and what will be covered and what will be the responsibility of the employer, I would have given you a different answer. As you know, the state of New Jersey has come out with a mandate relying on the carriers to continue to cover the cost of testing. And we have not seen the way in which other states are going, if they're going to follow in this pattern, or if they're going to leave it up to the employer or the carriers to decide how they want to handle it. But in the state of New Jersey, testing is going to be covered, and it's not going to be required to have a script. So what does that mean? That means that the on-site testing, the serology tests, the PCR tests, are going to be reimbursable at this point in the state of New Jersey, in the workplace, at critical facilities like urgent cares and acute cares, as well as in the providers' offices. So this is going to be very important for employers to know in the state of New Jersey, and then soon enough we're going to learn how this is going to be handled state by state. There are three people that there are three components to the reimbursement. We're finding either the carriers are going to carry the responsibility of this. We're also seeing facilities management stepping up. The landlords, the commercial real estate providers of overseeing the facilities, we're finding that they're taking a very strong initiative to set protocols up for their buildings, for their tenants, and they want very much to control how testing is handled at the point of entry for anybody that comes into the building. So whether the facility management companies are going to take the full responsibility of this cost, or it's going to be embedded in leases over a period of 12 months or 3 years, we're not quite sure, but we are seeing a real increase in interest and demand regarding on-site testing and wellness support from a facilities management perspective. Obviously, the employers are going to be taking on a portion of the cost of this. We have received enough feedback from employers. They're so eager to get their employees back to work that they are willing to carry this responsibility up to a certain financial threshold. But they're running at about 50% capacity right now, and so they're eager to get their employees back to 100%. So they're willing to carry the cost on it. When you talk about the individual expenses that we're seeing out there, the first element to the process of reentry would be that on-site thermometer screening or monitoring. That's going to be able to handle the volume that you see out there, and that's really going to be done by either an on-site clinical nurse or a technician. And the cost of that is going to run between $60 and $85 an hour. And we're seeing that you can be testing up to about 30 individuals an hour per clinician for that test. We also are seeing the serology antigen test, which is the one that we see commonly on the television, the swab test. This is as if somebody is, it does have a temperature and they are not allowed to get to the office or head to work. That is where the next phase of the testing happens, where they will get either the serology test on site or will be sent elsewhere as per the protocol of that company. That swab test is running between $50 and $80 a test. The results for this test are running between 2 and 5 days to get back your test results. And then we're also talking to people about what is becoming more common in this conversation, which is this PCR moderately complex tests. This is the antibody test, and what's critical about this test is that it identifies the IgG and the IgM. And basically, in common terms, that is to see if you had COVID, if COVID is active in your body, and if you have the antibodies for it. This is going to be important for employers because they're going to want to know what percentage of their employees have the antibodies. That information is going to be helpful in creating an ongoing preventive program for the office. This test tends to run a little bit more expensive than serology tests, and that's going to run, we're seeing ranges between $125 and $200 for the test. But those are the three main components of the testing that we're seeing right now. And whomever the facilities manager might carry the load for the thermometer screening, and the escalated protocol could fall on the employer responsibility. But that's what we're really seeing right now. As to the three people or three components of who's going to be responsible for the cost of this program.
Thank you. So it sounds like with many things surrounding COVID-19, more information is definitely going to be expected regarding how states are going to be handling this and what the carrier involvement is. So thank you for that. Despite some companies reducing costs through furloughs and pay cuts, we've seen a recent survey that was done by Willis Towers Watson that showed nearly half of employers surveyed say they are enhancing healthcare benefits and broadening well-being programs as a result of the current environment. What aspects of a wellness program should an employer consider to help their employees get the most value of a program?
This is a great question, and one that is near and dear to my heart, because I feel that it is going to be critical for an employer to implement an effective wellness program heading into the second half of this year. A program like True Vitality, which has concentrated on personalization, reflecting the pulse of the company, and implementing a program that complements the needs, the immediate needs of that company, is going to be really important, because we need as a country to prepare for what is to come in the fall and in the winter. So there are three important aspects to an effective wellness program when we are talking specifically about workforce reentry. We spoke about on-site testing and the importance of why that is so critical for an employer. It's a controllable, it's something that can be monitored at the point of entry, at the workplace, and it is much more effective than relying on your employees to seek self-monitoring and independent testing. In addition to the on-site testing for COVID-19, another aspect of testing is going to be biometric screening. Now, we all have heard about that through previous wellness programs, but biometric screening is going to be very important in the upcoming months because we have heard that COVID-19 really hits those individuals with underlying health issues. So to be able to educate and identify these issues for employees in the upcoming months will provide the opportunity to create that wellness program focusing on those particular issues, needs, providing education, support, resources that these employees are going to need to get ahead of what's coming in the fall and the winter. So those biometric screenings are going to be very important in the next couple months. And then obviously the wellness program implementing now is also going to have that round 2 COVID-19 on-site testing happening in the fall and the winter. So these 3 components of testing are going to be important for a reentry wellness program. The second recommendation is what I say is reporting, reporting, reporting. A very good, effective wellness program must have reporting. Employers need to know the health of their company. If 60% of their employees have diabetes or at risk for diabetes, it's going to be very important to get ahead of that heading into the fall and the winter and definitely next year. So providing a wellness program that's saturated in education, workplaces, shops, webinars, one-on-one coaching, all around diabetes information, support, nutrition is going to be the best way to thwart what could happen down in the fall and the winter when COVID-19 is predicted to come around in a second wave. The reporting also gives the employer the pulse of how effective the wellness program is working. We all have had experience with the large wellness companies that piggyback onto the carriers programs, or even the carriers have their wellness programs. They are robust and they're wonderful, but they're generic and vanilla. And they haven't been effective because they're not customizable to the actual employer. Reporting gives the employer actual data that supports the effectiveness of the wellness program. And when a wellness program works effectively, it can truly transform a company and really sustain the health that an employer needs within the company. The third component of a very effective wellness program is that personalization I've been talking about. The idea that you have no idea the health of your company, you have no idea the concerns and the needs of your company as far as the outside of the workplace, what they're juggling, what are they dealing with. To not have that and then dump a wellness program on them is a recipe for disaster. True Vitality is a great example of a company that comes in, they take an evaluation, based on the responses they get from the employees. We can quickly identify the type of program we want to provide for that employer, whether it's emotional support, behavioral support, activities on site or activities off site, whatever it may be. It's going to be reflective of the needs of those employees. In addition to that, True Vitality takes the resources and those robust programs that the carriers already have in place through the employer's health plan, and we wrap that around that personalized plan so that we can offer and maximize all resources for those employees, whether it's wearables, whether it's EAP programs, larger resources with CVS or Walgreens. We take the time to integrate that all together so that the employees have the maximum level of resources accessible to them at all times. So testing, on-site testing, reporting, and personalized wellness program that reflects the needs of the company is the best way for an employer to provide that peace of mind that he or she wants to give to those employees as they come back to work and for the remainder of the year and ongoing. I want to thank you so much, Colleen, for the opportunity to dive into this topic. And I look forward to talking to you more about the health and well-being of everyone, whether at the work site or at home. But let's hope that there are healthy, happier days ahead for all of us.
Meg, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your insight and spending so much time with us. We definitely greatly appreciate it. With today's broadcast, you will be receiving a short survey. Once you complete the survey, as a thank you, we will provide you with an On the Road to Reopening workplace safety checklist. As always, should you have any questions, please reach out to your dedicated Savoy team and continue to use the resources that are available in the COVID-19 section of our new and approved website at savoyassociates.com. From all of us at Savoy, stay healthy and safe. Thank you for joining us today.